Hello and welcome to Conversations with me, Trayton. We have a great guest tonight. I think you're going to have a great time having the conversation. So I want you to grab a snack and a drink and come on back and let's have the conversation.
I think we should talk about it. Diamond deep, let it go, so you want it. Talk about it. Gotta know they want it. Talk about it. Diamond deep, let it go, so you want it. Talk.
Hello and happy Saturday to all of you. I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far, and thank you for taking time out to have the conversation. So, what is the purpose of this show? This is a show just to connect with people through the simple act of having a conversation that is engaging, informative, and fun. And it's to also celebrate our differences and connecting through our similarities and just to celebrate people, whether that's traveling across the country to and across the world to live out a dream, discovering that you're activist, or finding your creative avenue. As always, we have a buzzword, and tonight's buzzword is dreams. So whenever you hear this word throughout the conversation, I want you to put an exclamation point in the comments. If you are 21 years old, older, you can take a shot, or you can yell out to do it in Pee Wee Herman. So the choice is yours. And also, I want to remind you that this is an interactive show and it relies on you being interactive. So feel free to leave comments and questions throughout the show, and then we will get to them at a point in the show. So here's my topic for tonight: Lisa Ray versus the Brat. In case you haven't heard, Lisa Ray and the Brat had a little tiff tack earlier this week. Lisa Ray and the Brat are sisters, and it was Lisa Ray's birthday. And Lisa Ray's co-host on Cocktails with Queens. It's a Fox Soul streaming show. They decided to surprise her for her birthday with her sister, the Brat. Well, unbeknownst to the host, the Brat and Lisa Ray aren't really getting along these days. The Brat went ghost for a couple of months. Lisa Ray didn't know what went wrong. Lisa Ray out minding her business. Paparazzi and the tabloids asking her about her sister coming out as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And Lisa Ray didn't know how to respond because she didn't know that her sister came out. She's like, oh, it's all good. And in Lisa Ray's mind, she felt like the Brat was being faked by deciding to come on her show in front of everybody to wish her happy birthday after ignoring her for all these months. But the Brat was like, she was going through some stuff. She found a new partner, and she didn't know how to quite relate this to Lisa Ray and how Lisa Ray was going to handle that. So what I want to know from you guys is, whose side are you on? Lisa Ray or the Brat? Who was wrong? Who was right? I just want to hear your thoughts. So sign off in the comments. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, when we have the conversation with our guests. I first found out about this person around 2015 at my old job. And at first I thought she was kind of mean, but after you get to know her, she's pretty cool. And if you follow her on social media, you are sure to be entertained. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you tonight, yes, Nikki. Hello, Nikki. How are you?
I'm fine. You thought I was mean?
Yeah, at first I was like, oh.
I get that a lot though. Thanks for having me.
No problem. How has life been treating you during this quarantine time?
Well, I've saved a lot on gas.
Yeah, that's a plus.
I've saved a lot on gas, and I think I was talking to my mom a couple of weeks ago. I was saying how I haven't had, yeah, you get that transition cold.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't had one of those. I haven't had a cold since the end of last year.
Mm.
Or about the end of last year. I'm like, so it's helping me with my immune system here. I haven't, had to go to the doctor like I used to, and get all these different meds and stocked up stuff, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, it's been good. I've been able to take care of home and not worry about me bringing whatever's out there inside every day, going to and from work. So it's been good. It's been good. How have you been?
I've been pretty good trying to adapt to this new times here, being virtual.
It's I mean it's a thing. It's something
Yeah.
that we didn't think we would ever go
Mm.
through. But it's
Yeah.
like, every so amount of years, X amount of years, there's a pandemic.
Hmm.
There's something big. And I don't think we ever thought in our lifetime we'd be walking around with masks,
Yeah.
like other countries have with the air pollution in other countries and places. And we didn't ever thought we'd had to be walking around saying, "Oh, that don't go with my mask." Like
Yeah.
your outfit, that mask don't match this. I have to get this mask. We
Yeah.
never thought we'd be here, but everyone's adapting and adjusting, and I think the success behind it is the fact that we are adapting and able to adjust, and we didn't just all out go crazy when it happened. I mean, we did have a problem with the toilet tissue problem
Yeah.
for a
Wow.
hot minute, but we came back from that too.
Hmm.
But I do my prayers and my thoughts and prayers go out to people who have lost people,
Hmm.
have lost loved ones and friends and whatnot, during this time though. So
Yeah. It has been a trying time. We've learned a lot about ourselves and each other, I feel like.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. We really do. I think the pandemic was one of the reasons. Well, not one of the reasons, but it gave me the time to actually sit down and write out everything that I was needing to do and get done. So that was another thing as well.
Yeah. So for those who do not know you, can you describe yourself using four adjectives that best describe yourself?
You gave me that one, and I definitely actually had to look words up to describe myself because I didn't want to give like the little norm. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm funny, I'm kind, or whatever. I am reliable. Anytime, and so most of my friends know that they can trust me. If I can get to them or if they need me, that I'm there. I'm passionate when it comes to issues, topics, especially things that are close to the chest. I am, I'm there. I'm doing what I need to do. My emotions run very high. They run high anyway.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to something that is important, very serious, I am like times 1,000. Um, I'm empathetic. I find myself, I said, I don't know now because I turned 40 last month, but I don't know if it's because of, me getting older, if it's, the fact that I'm getting older and I'm sitting there saying to myself, every time I watch a movie or every time I watch something on TV and I'm like, oh, I start crying. I'm either real mad, real happy, real sad, or I'm crying. And so I just, and then for me, I can tell someone, say if you're going through something and you're talking to me, I can actually understand what you're going through. And
Mhm.
it's not that I've been through it, but I know if I were in that situation, how I would feel.
Yeah.
Um, my last one is flawed because I'm definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
I would give myself flawed because I have made so many different, and I say mistakes, but then I also say life lessons. And so, where people come out and think you're supposed to do everything to the letter, you're supposed to be exact, um, you're supposed to be precise and perfect. You're not.
Yeah.
You can think you are,
Mhm.
but you also need to know in the back of your mind you are not. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall down. You're going to stumble. You're going to do the wrong things. You're going to say the wrong things, and then whether you know to correct yourself, get back up, walk around, whatever it was you stumbled on the first time. It's those are my four. I give myself those four.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing you touch on because a lot of people want to be so perfect and want to do everything the right way that they forget to just live and be in the now, in the present.
Right. That's right. And so like now, you can't, especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have no room or way of saying that everything is going to be exactly how you think they're going to be. So because I'm pretty sure people had all kinds of plans this year
Mm-hmm.
and they got foiled and pretty much wiped out because now you had to figure out either you want to go on this trip or you want to stay home and make sure you don't get COVID-19.
Yeah.
It was a thing you had to weigh out. You had to realize, okay, this is not as important as I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
You had to make sure you knew which one was the right choice. Some people still went on vacations. I'm not gonna lie, I did go out of town,
Okay.
but that was like right when it started getting kind of fuzzy,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm going. And so I went, and when I got home, I was like, I'm not going anywhere else. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not gonna try that anymore because in the midst of my vacation, I had to get on 4 different planes.
Oof.
So right, so I was definitely testing it, and I was like, "Yep, I'm home now. I'm good." I got that out my system.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ready
so
to
it's
calm
like
down.
yeah, so it's like some people, but you know what? Now some people are saying that it's live in the now. You can't. You don't know if you're gonna live tomorrow. You might as well do it today. Yeah, but there's a smart way to do that.
Yeah.
Smart way to live in the now.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing too.
Yeah. I'm gonna live in the now, but make sure that I can live a next day and the next day.
Right, right, exactly.
Don't take me to the king just yet, as Tamil method.
Because I'm a mess right now. If you took me to the king, I would. He'd probably be like, "Now you know." But yeah, so I'm doing my best.
That's good to hear. So, as I was telling the guests about the Lisa Ray and the Brat situation, what are your thoughts when it comes to that? Whose side are you on?
I'm be in the middle,
In the middle?
and the reason I say that is because I understand both sides, and like I was saying before, when it came to okay, I can't say in the middle. Then I can't say in the middle. I take that back, y'all. I'm sorry. I can say that Lisa Ray, when her reaction was the wrong reaction at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The brat she had the right to, if she had to take time off from family, to take that time off, and think about her life, and if she, like she may have been taking that time to say, okay, I don't know if I'm serious or not, to make sure that she was serious within the decision that she had for her own life. Because if you bring someone home immediately after you start talking to them and it doesn't work out, then you've already introduced your family to this person. You already brought them into your world, and now it doesn't work. So, I mean, maybe she took that time to get herself together to say, okay, I'm going to come out, because hell is, I mean, people speculated that she was, a
Yeah.
lesbian or whatever, but people really didn't know for sure. And that wasn't anyone else's place but hers to announce when she wanted to tell everyone. It's never anyone else to say, "Oh yeah, my sister's lesbian,"
Yeah.
or to come out and say, "Well, hey Lisa," because it's not. I mean, it's hard for people to, because they don't know their family's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I think the Brett knew Lisa's reaction to start with, because I mean, this is not the first time she's went off on someone. So she had to think about, okay, how am I gonna tell my sister this? And I mean, I don't think she handled it, especially in that time. She didn't handle it professionally, which she should have. And the Brett was like, because I haven't seen the video. I'm not even gonna lie, I haven't seen the video. I've only read articles about it, and from what I saw, what I read, she could have done better with her feelings about it. Like, she cussed out all the other people. Like, they were trying to do something nice, but you turn around and just cuss them out. You cuss your sister out. Now you got everybody thinking you just as crazy as we know you are.
Yeah. And plus, when you get a chance to see that video, her makeup and lighting didn't help.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
See,
like
I haven't seen it.
red hair, she kind of looked like Ronald McDonald.
I did see the like the clip where
Yeah,
they had all the pictures. Yeah, I saw that, but I just I do think it could have been she could have handled it differently. Like she could have the brat could have been like happy birthday sis, and she could have
yeah.
been like thanks, you
Mhm.
know. But she didn't have to keep going. She just went. They said she just flew all the way off the handle and jumped out the window and flew
Yeah,
across, you know. But yeah, so
yeah. We
that
both from a broadcast media background. You know, when the camera and the indicator is on, you play nice. But when the indicator and the camera go off, then you keep it real.
right.
Yeah, and that's what Lisa Ray should have did at the
She
time.
should have she should have cut everything off and then just go off. I mean, or
Yeah,
got on the phone like, how y'all just wait till the camera go off
yeah,
and the mics are cut. Yeah, so you're right. She should have done that too.
yeah.
Ah, goodness.
It's a mess. All right. So everyone has a genesis, a starting point. So I want to
Mhm.
go all the way to the beginning and tell us a little bit about your childhood, little Nikki.
Tomboy Nikki,
Mhm.
country girl Nikki. Um, I was born here in South Carolina. I was born in Columbia. My mom, she went to Allen University, and right after she graduated, she actually had me. And so they moved. She moved back. We moved back down further down to Atlanta, small tiny little town with one traffic light, I think. But I mean, it's one of those typical little, like, Andy Griffith towns. Everybody knows everybody and stuff like that. And so I grew up there. I went to Atlanta Elementary. It was actually a high school when I first started going there. And then they took away the high school grade levels, and the high school grade levels moved to Lake City. And so by the time I reached sixth grade, was it? My mom, we moved towards Lake City, so I had to start going to school in uh, that city limit. Um, I was uh, I was a typical little girl. I mean, by me living in the country, all it was trees, and I always had a dog or a cat or both at the same time. I My mom, she was a single parent, but she had the help of my great grandmother and my uncle. And I did grow up knowing my great great grandmother. I never knew my grandmother because she passed away when my mother was young. But I never really had to want for anything when I was little, because I was the only kid in this house with, two other women and my uncle who was in the military, and he was like, anybody can't come around from a baby girl, I'm gonna shoot him. Matter of fact, he's still that way, and I'm
Yeah,
40. But I I was happy. Like when you're a kid, you don't think of bills and politics and stuff like that. You're thinking of, okay, am I going to see my friends at school the next day, or
yeah,
on the weekends you don't get to get up and because when that young, I didn't have to get up and clean. I get up, watch cartoons, play outside, stuff like that. I had a very good childhood. It's when I got older where it started becoming kind of hectic. Um, I had how you try to not try to fit in, but you try to find your place,
yeah.
especially in high school. And I
Mhm.
tried to find my little place, and I didn't. I found it, but I was finding it. I found it after I had my first child. I had my daughter Alexandria. I had her at 15, and that at that time, that's where my childhood cut. You know,
Yeah,
because it's like now you're no longer seen as being just a teenager. You're a teen mom,
mhm,
and the mom part outweighs the teen part
yeah,
because now you have to grow up. So I did. I had to grow up. My mom, she always enforced it was like, even though you have a child, you're still going to college. You're still going to do something with yourself. You're not going to sit here and feel sorry because you went out there and did something that you now know. We have a whole child here now know that you're not ready for, but you have to make yourself ready for it. And I think that in itself kind of helped me um, to be the person that I am now.
Mhm.
So I don't have any complaints about my childhood. I just got a lot of beatings. I
Were
got
you
a
a
lot of
bad Nick?
I got a lot of not sparing, not spoiling the child. They
Yeah.
never spared the rod. She never spared that at all. But I enjoyed my childhood. I did miss my dad.
Mhm.
I miss my dad because he left when I was 3 and he never came back. I never saw him ever again. Um, so I missed that part. This is this whole half of me that I don't know about. I don't know this side of who I am, and I kind of feel every now and again I feel some type of way about that.
Yeah.
Um, it was heavy when I was little, so I did have that little sad part, that little sad moment where I would, wonder why he wasn't around. I had that part of my childhood. That was a sad part of my childhood, yes.
Yeah.
Um, but being that my mom was who she was, and I had so much fun with her,
Mhm.
I missed it, but then I didn't miss it. It was like, I wondered sometimes where he was and if he would ever return. But then I had my mom, so I had the strongest person I knew still there, and so I was fine with that. I was fine with that. I did find out it was a year or so after I graduated from Morris that my father had died. They sent a letter saying he passed away.
Yeah.
And you know what's so sad? The only thing is sad and funny at the same time. The only thing that annoyed me was the fact that you could find him after he died.
Mhm.
But all the searching and digging that I was trying to do, you couldn't help me find him then when he was around, when he was alive. His social security number popped up
Mhm.
and like the I guess I don't know if it was a death list or something, but it
Yeah.
popped up and that's how they knew he had passed away.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, but other than that, my mom helped me with she is who I blame. I say blame, but it's a good blame
Mhm.
for my writing because she always took me to movies when I was little. I was watching movies and Star Trek and all this sci-fi supernatural stuff and all these different storylines that I would see in the movies. And so I started, bringing up my own things, making, my imagination, writing it down, stuff like that. So it was a good one.
Yeah. Do you remember your first story or play you wrote?
The first play I wrote, the name, I cannot remember the name. It was about domestic encounters.
Mhm.
It was a play that I wrote for my final project for college. And my professor, he read it and he said, well, Farson, you could, why don't you try and do a play? Take the script and you get some kids here on campus and you could actually act it out during the Fine Arts Festival that we would have. And I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I did I had casting, I had tryouts, I had a casting call type deal and people came in. And it was actually fun because it gave me experience with the producing part
Mhm.
and it gave me experience with the writing and then dealing with the actors that oh my god, I can't work like this, which was my best friend. She was always very animated, but I did. That was college. I can't remember what year, but that was the first time I ever wrote something like from beginning to end. I always wrote stories and then I would stop and I wouldn't go back to them. And my first love was poetry. I would write that all day long. And so my mom would always, you need to publish it. You needed this, you needed that. And I'm like, I will. Kept pushing it off, procrastinating. And so, and I did that the entire time. That was one of my flaws.
Yeah.
I would start writing and then stop. And
Mhm.
then I would never go back to it. Even when we were working together,
Yeah.
I was writing then, but I never thought to publish anything,
Mhm.
because I never thought it was good enough. I was always overcritical of my writing, and so I would just keep it to myself.
Thinking back about on those projects that you started and you ended, are there any that you willing to go back and maybe finishing and bring into fruition?
The very first story, the very first novel that I wrote, which was Kara. A girl. It's called Kara, a girl of the supernatural. And I think I might have to change that name because now that I really say it, it sounds long as I don't know what. But it was that one. That was what I started writing. I started writing that story in '09,
Mhm.
2009. And for me, I think my imagination is very vivid, and when I'm writing it down, I write everything that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
which makes it a never ending thing. And so I now, like I told my mom, I'm gonna have to go back in and find a stopping point. Um, because it's so many characters, it's so many different types of supernatural beings
Mhm.
that it's more than one book. It can't be a whole book because it'll be all the Harry Potter books into one book.
Ooh,
And we know how long that is. Like, yeah, that's too much. So,
100 years later.
right. So now I'm going back and I'm actually going through that as I'm working on two different things at this time. So it's three different projects that I'm doing at the same time and taking notes and rewriting and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very much going back and pulling all the other stories that I've written and trying to find the time to finish one project before I start another. Like, actually writing it again, because if I don't, I'll end up having one character from this story in this story, and so I don't want to do that. But
Having
yeah,
deja vu while reading a story, like I've
right.
seen this person before.
I know this character. Why do I know this? So yeah, but I would love to try to tie my books together. Um, from Car Story to have her kind of, not be a character in another story, but the description of who she is in another story of mine. I've read that before and I thought it was so neat.
Yeah.
In a book series that I actually read. And I thought that was like the neatest thing to try to tie your stories into, make them intertwine. I thought that was neat.
So you mentioned Star Trek and poetry. Who are some creatives that you look up to for inspiration?
Um, People wise or
Movie wise, book wise, people wise in general.
um I am a I'm very much a vampire person. Um so like anything dealing with vampires, I have to see it. I love that type of world where people can actually, they can live these thousands and thousands of years, and there are wars within, so-called covens and things like that. I love that type of story. I am very much. I did. Nobody really cared for the movies, but I did. I love the movies and the books. Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight series, I did love her books. I did. I love this, and I love the story. And people now, it was, all the rage, and people were. I had to see it, and now people are like, it was so stupid. It was this. It was that.
I can
And
burn you now.
and me, I'm the only oddball saying I still love the movies. I still enjoy watching that. My mom, when I started watching Star Trek, she started watching Star Trek. I got into Star Trek, and now I love it.
Mhm.
I love the idea of, people from Earth
Yeah.
going and exploring instead of just being in this big space suit like, the astronauts. No, I'm not knocking them, but I love the idea of just flying through space and, you know, experiencing different things as I'm there. Um so I have so many. The one movie, well, the movies that I did not like Alien.
Okay.
I did not like Alien. I did not like that.
Oh, you didn't like?
The alien itself. It was just so disgusting. I was like, I don't want to watch this. But me being who I am, watched it. I didn't like. I watched every movie, but I was like, I don't like this alien. I never cared. I understood the whole plot of the storyline or whatever, but I did not like Alien at all. I
Great.
hated it. Right. So I those are Star Trek. There was this show called V,
Yeah.
and it was actually it was on
I
TV.
remember that.
Yeah, it's old. I think about these shows and I'm like, good God, I'm getting old. But there were so many different things that I would watch on TV. I watched Mission Impossible.
Mhm.
I love the covert, the what do you call it, the agent type life.
Yeah.
Where they assume a different name wherever they went. It was different and stuff like that. All of it. I'm open to all of it.
Yeah.
So I love every avenue of creativity and when it comes to people thinking up different ways to push an idea, I'm for it.
Yeah. Back to the Twilight and Stephanie Myers. I think the book was a little bit better than the movie, but that's typical. Books tend to be.
They were 10 times better.
Yeah. Some of the acting was kind of okay.
They were. Yeah, I love the movies because they gave you a visual,
Mm-hmm.
but the books, there was so much stuff in the books that if they tried to put everything in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be still sitting here watching Twilight. So I did. They did. They were not like they were similar to the books, but yeah, the books were definitely way better. And that seems to be with like anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you have a favorite series where you New Moon, Twilight? Which book did you like?
I did like I like Breaking Dawn.
Yeah.
The reason I like Breaking Dawn was because you finally find out why Jacob was so attached to Bella. Like, even though he was like, I'm gonna kill you, this and the third, you still realize why now, because it wasn't even her per se that he was attached to. It was like in the end, the part of her that he was attached to came out into the little girl.
Yeah.
And it was a weird twist, but I still like that part of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, it gave you a difference of how they lived. You got to see all these different types of vampires, the Amazons, and then you had, these others coming from all these different places, and they came together for that one thing to witness this child who they thought was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
She'd probably be a solution.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very good ending to it.
Agree. Yeah.
Right.
Looking back on it, my only flaw is looking back on it in retrospect. The whole relationship with Edward and Bella maybe wasn't the most healthiest of relationships. It's kind of toxic and creepy if you look at it. And then the whole Jacob and Esme, I think was the baby name.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like it was like, oh.
Yeah, but they said part of that had to do with I don't think it was Stephanie Meyer's religion, but I think it was like how she grew up, or I can't remember what tied it into her her real life or whatever. But I think they were saying that she was saying how there were different types of emotions and love that people have. Mm-hmm. And it kind of tripped me out too with the Jacob and Esme relationship, because I was like, this is getting borderline pedophile-ish. Like, I was like, it's a grown man with that little baby, and I'm like, okay, but I understood it. Okay, we're gonna see how this is gonna play out. And so
I had Chris Hansen on speed dial just in case, though.
The grandfather Charlie.
Oh yeah.
Charlie would have been there. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna agree with this, But yeah, that was kind of, it was creepy, but all the other vampires made you look past.
Like, come on. Can you be the makeup artist? You better.
Like this is not healthy. This is I don't, but we're gonna go ahead and see how that's gonna work. You
I think I want to be a werewolf now.
know? Hey, even though you lose clothes every time,
Yeah,
you know when you transition into the werewolf,
yeah,
but you still come back as who you are.
yeah.
Yeah, but I still loved it. So that's basically I was for both of them. I was rooting for both guys.
Yeah. And then going to the Star Trek, do you have a favorite Star Trek series? Are you Generation, Voyager,
Generation.
Generation?
I am for just the first Star Trek, which was
Mm-hmm.
Captain Kirk and Spock and all of them. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But then Next Generation, I love them too. I couldn't get into like Deep Space Nine or Voyager like
Yeah.
I got with the first two. It seemed like it was like everywhere you turn, they were trying to do a Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, y'all just going overboard now. Like just Picard, that's the man. He's gonna be the
Make it so.
right. That's it. That's the last captain I want to hear about. And so when they came out with the movies with Chris Pine and all of them,
Yeah,
I fell back in love with that. I was like, those movies were awesome too.
yeah.
So yeah.
So delving into your writing process,
Mhm.
how does that look, and how does fantasy writing differ from like in the realism writing?
Oh goodness. I couldn't even show you how I write. I do notes. Not going to lie. I do notes. I do notes to make sure to keep up with my characters and their personality traits and their likes and dislikes and things like that. And I make sure that I have a distinct description of how they look.
Mhm.
That I'm very I don't say anal, but yeah, anal about. I'm very I make sure I got everything down. So when I go to write and there's a character that needs to be described that I don't change how he looks or how she looks. Um, those notes are more heavy than the notes for the actual chapters. Um, I usually, which is kind of crazy, I write my summary of my chapters as I go. So when I think like now I'm on chapter 25, and so as I'm writing on my computer, I'm actually with a pen and paper writing the summary of the chapter.
And
And so that way it's a shorter version of what I've just written other than me having to go back into that chapter and I'm like, okay, what does such say? I can't go back like that. Um, at one point I was writing. I wasn't typing it. And that got to be kind of annoying when you had to go back and retype and
yeah,
type what you wrote. So that I found the easier way for me is to take notes as I write.
okay,
Um, my I have my best thoughts and um my best thoughts for my stories are at night. So like when I'm not sitting in front of my computer and I'm about to lay down, I'll get an idea for like the next chapter. Or sometimes I get ideas for totally new stories. And so I just write them down. I have a journal that I keep and I write them down. And I just I keep it that way. I keep going that way. Um, just so, you know, I can have a handle on what I'm writing. And have you ever heard of a writer telling you or saying that they can't control their characters?
that's new. What do you mean by that?
I've only heard one other person say this, and it's because when you're writing a character, when you're writing a story, and you're, saying what they should say, you, I get it a good bit of the time because my characters are like, now I would never say that. So I have to go. I have to go back, and my mom was like, "You sure you're not? You don't have like a couple personalities going on yet?" It does. It feels that way. I'm not crazy, guys. It's just certain characters have certain personality traits. Like, there's one character that he is very blunt. He's very honest, and where that's not even me.
Mhm.
I'm blunt and honest, but I actually feel for people's feelings, so I don't say everything that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, not this character over here. This character over here is like, well, we're gonna say this.
Yeah.
And you might well go ahead and backtrack, delete everything you just wrote, and put down what I'm going to say. And I've had that happen to me more than once. It's happened many a times. And so I don't know if that's I told mom, I said, I don't know. I may be kind of crazy. I may be crazy. But if it's a good story being told, I'm good. I'm not gonna shy away from it.
Going crazy to these chicks.
So I just, that's my thought process is I am writing what the character wants me to write.
Mhm.
And even though it's my character, the personality of that character is not mine. It's, the actual, he hates cheese. Why would you have me eating a ham and cheese sandwich and I don't like cheese, Nikki? Stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Take that down. Go back, right? It's how I don't know how, I don't know why it's like that. But that's how I write. I write. I take notes as I go. My characters, they speak to me when they need to,
Mhm.
and I go with how they want me to write them.
Have you been like in the mud in a plot in a story, and then you have this revelation like let's change this whole plot around and start over again with this character?
I have a whole folder called the cutting room floor.
Mhm.
Every one of my stories has chapters from where I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah, I got over the hump. I'm writing, getting, and have to start we have to go all the way back, jump back over the hump, probably two valleys past,
Yeah.
and I have to rewrite, and it could be like over 100 pages, and I have to start right back where I started because it didn't flow. It didn't flow,
Yeah.
and so sometimes it's like when you're writing, even if you get to 100 pages and it doesn't flow, start over. Don't try to push it because it's not going to end the way you want it to end. The story's not going to flow well, and it's not going to have the resolution or the ending that you want. Even sometimes when you're getting over the hump, when you're getting over the climax part of it, the climax doesn't even work out. So now you have to go back before that and figure out, okay, did she kill him or did she shoot him? Did she shoot him and wound him or did she shoot him and kill him? You have to jump over that part and make sure whatever decision you make here helps you get across and go all the way out. And so I've had that folder is so, I think I have two folders now because I had to buy another hard drive, and I have two now.
Yeah.
So, but I always go back because I'm like, maybe I could use this scenario for another story. That's why I keep them.
That's right.
Right.
So normally when you start a story, you have the end already in mind, or it's like just go build by numbers. Like, okay, now I'm gonna do
Right. I never can have the ending,
Mhm.
because like I said, I don't know sometimes what twists and turns that my character is going to put me in.
Mm.
Even in this book the Blind Attraction book, I didn't even know that was going to be that ending.
Yeah.
And then I honestly didn't know that I was going to have the epilogue that I wrote. So I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of that was going to occur. I just let the story go as it went. But yeah, so it doesn't. Some writers are good at that though. Some writers can give you every part of a story and give you the ending. But for me, for the story to be genuine, I play it out like I play out a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in my head, and I'm just going along. And when you first see a movie, you don't know the ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You think you know the ending,
Yeah.
but you don't really know what's going to happen until you get to the end. That's how my stories are. I don't know what's going to happen until I get to the end of them.
Awesome. Some people, writers, say that they take a piece of what they seen or heard in real life and then imagine it in their world. Do you draw inspiration from real world interactions like that?
I do. But the funny thing is, I draw my inspiration from things that I wish had happened. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because by my story being a romance novel, I wrote a man that I would have wanted for myself. I wrote a man, and I wrote a woman who was accepting of those things as well. Like, she fought a little bit, but then realized that there was someone that wanted her, and she wanted them just as much. And in real life now,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go through 4 or 5 different relationships to
Mm-hmm.
get one of the things that we're looking for, and that's sad. It's like, it's one. There was a meme, I think it was like, um, one woman had 3 men who did different things.
Yeah.
Like, one was the companion, the good friend or whatever. The other was for the sexual attention, and the other was the stability type man that she felt she could trust. And I'm like, it's sad that you have to look and you have to have that many people when you can just try and find one
Mm-hmm.
that has those things. And again, you don't have to be perfect, but like, just have that one person. And so for me, I write how I would like my life to have been.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was Anala, I would have loved to have met someone like Harper
Yeah.
and be look and just be so mesmerized by who he was and how he carried himself. Because even though he went through the things that he went through, she never really knew that or took that on because of how he was with her. And then to find out that he was that way because of her, it was kind of different. And so for me, I do like the conversations that my characters have with one another. Yeah, those are like, it would be me and you talking. So
Yeah.
I write my conversations and my interactions as if I were that person. If I were that character, and I'm like, okay, this is what I would say.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. This is how I would, go with this. And then again, sometimes even though it's me writing, Nikki, that don't work. Erase that. It's just
Yeah.
take that away. But it does when you're writing, you do bring in what you've experienced in the world into your story. Like, it's never nothing. It's always something. I should say, always something from your life that you bring into your work. So from poetry, short stories, screenplays, anything that you write and you're putting your all into, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put part of yourself into it,
Yeah.
right? So
Which POV you find easier to write, first person or third?
actually,
And for women, for those who don't know, POV is person of view. Yeah.
point of view.
Point of view. Thinking I knew it, and times I went to say it, like, yeah.
Um, for me, I like both, but I think third person is easier for me, um, because if I write in first person,
Uh,
I end up putting myself into it.
okay.
I third person, I'm writing them, and writing about them. But if I end up saying when I start thinking about when me myself, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't do that. So that's why I stick to writing in third person. I stick to writing in third person. I do love first person stories, I do, but I find the third person easier because it's in a way it's a separation between you and the actual story itself. So
I never looked at it that way because I do little dabble. That's one of my quarantine pickups. But
really,
yeah, and I got into like young adult books recently. You're like, oh, so my challenge during quarantine was like, oh, let's see if I can write a young adult book.
right?
You is still,
You never know. Yeah.
yeah.
If you finish it, please let me know. Well,
Okay.
when you finish it, please let me know.
All right.
But yeah, it's either what have you found easier, first person or third?
First person.
Really?
Yeah.
I definitely want to read that one.
Yeah. I like first person. Then I like to have two characters, and then like this chapter might be this character's chapter. And the next one will be your characters.
Right.
matter, but they're dealing with the same thing, but just different point of view within that.
Right. Okay.
Mm,
I like that. I do like that.
mm,
Um, Going back to Stephanie Meyer, she did do that.
mm.
She gave Bella's Jacob's point of view. Um, gave was very much a surprise to me when I got to that part in the book
Yeah,
when it went from her to him. So it's real. It's real. It's different. Um, Especially when you're writing in first person to write a point of view in first person. So yeah. So I definitely would love to read that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it
Let me
is
know.
some truth of what you're saying. Like sometimes you do put your voice in the characters. You're like, no, this is not you. This is this character.
Right.
Yeah.
It happens. It definitely happens. But yeah, there's a feat, and it just was causing too much. It was causing too much issues with me. Nope, I'm just gonna stick to this and he and she, and they say it. I left it like that.
And speaking of writing, and you mentioned blind attraction,
Mhm.
let's talk about blind attraction right quick. Let's give them the Amazon link in case they want to buy it. Blind attraction. Tell the viewers a little bit about this book and the
Um,
process of writing it.
well, I had actually started writing this. I wrote this last year. Um, Before the pandemic, even came around to us. But it's about Anala Kennedy. She is legally blind. The reason why I have to say it that way is because she can see, but it's only blurred objects. So like she can see a person standing in front of her, and if they are their skin complexion, but she don't know, she can't tell you if the person is smiling or not, or things like that. um she can see colors and stuff like that, but she can't see fully, so her vision is blurred forever, put it
Yeah,
like that. Like if you're just waking up
yeah,
and your vision is blurry, you can't see. That's how hers is all the time. um she is a coder. So she has a life. She's just not blind and incapable of living. It's just the fact that her blindness, she felt, took away some possibilities in her life, like having a love life and experiencing things that she wanted to experience. Because in her early on in her childhood, she wasn't blind at all. She lost her vision. Um, to a disease that affected her vision or whatnot, obviously. But she learned how to overcome all that. She went to college and everything, and after that, she became a coder. Um, she went out with a friend and ran and pretty much kind of clicked with this other guy, Harper, who's a lawyer. He's a retired Marine. Um, he came home and wanted to give back to the community that he was from. He is of his mother. Uh, he grew up in a single parent home, but he's successful. He has a mentor. Is pretty much it gives you two different views of how people can live and still be successful in this lifetime. He didn't think that he would find love at all either, and he had no type of disabilities or inabilities that would prevent him from thinking that he would. He just felt that he had already seen so much bad stuff that he wouldn't be able to find love, and he instantly fell for her. She was hesitant about him because of the fact that she couldn't see him, and he did everything that he could to let her know that she saw him even though she couldn't see him. It's And you know how it is. Every story has a bad guy. Bad guy comes through, threatened, but this he threatens Harper by trying to harm her. Then you have all different types of issues. You have Anala. She has issues with her mom. Harper. he has issues with being a workaholic and the stuff that he saw overseas. Um, so they both have, the inner demons that they're fighting, and they actually have the outer. I think Anala's her issues are more outer because of the fact that she's fighting her mom and all of these things out still in the world, and then inner because it's just a mind thing. Like people are seeing her as a successful coder, but she still sees herself as incapable and an invalid, which she's not.
Yeah.
I can't give away the rest, but because it'll be the whole book by then. But
Yeah.
I mean, she has Karen and Jackson, and those characters. Samara is her mother. They have a quarrel or whatever, but it plays out in the end to be very good story. And check it. I'm actually going to be downing the price because it's been like that for a minute. So I'm actually going to be downing the price. But yes, it's still the same link. It'll still be the same link and everything. I hope if you do get the book that you enjoy it, let me know some kind of how. But yeah, that's Blind Attraction. And then coming up is actually my next one, which is goodness gracious, let me stop because I know I'm gonna be able to remember it. A Love to Kill For. I'm not gonna tell you whose book that is. You have to buy the first book to figure out who's in the second book. My website.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And so they can get the book on Amazon. Is there other book outlets they can get the book from?
Right now it's just Amazon, Amazon.com. They can actually contact me if they wanted it autographed. I have books here because people are asking for autographed copies. So what I do is I sign it, and package it and send it to them, and they can get it from me as well. So, but yeah, it's Amazon right now, just Amazon. I'm trying to find other outlets, but right now I'm still sticking with just Amazon.
Okay. And speaking of your website, Darling Nikki, what can they find when they visit their website?
Darling Nikki is all of me. Like you said, my if you want entertainment, because I had to put off being on the actual darlingnikki.com website. I actually had to put off for a while because I was trying to get everything from after the book and the signing and whatnot. But for me on darlingnikki.com, I talk about everything. I talk about my relationships. I talk about sex. I talk about kids. I talk about, family as a whole. Um, I thought about hitting up politics one time, but I don't know if I want to go political.
Yeah.
But I will be talking about, the books. And right now I'm doing a movie thing where now I'm renting new movies because I can't go to the movie theater. I'm, suggesting different movies that you can watch at home that, for the kids, for just the adults, family, stuff like that. So that'll be hitting in around about the end of the month once I'm over the hump with the book. So it'll be new things coming to that page as well.
Right. So for the viewers out there that maybe want to get into writing or any other creative outlet, what are some words of advice would you give them?
Don't think you can't do it. Don't procrastinate too long because if you take too long to do it, you'll never do it. You'll never know how it feels to have your work out there for people to send you pictures of your work. Yeah, because for me, I never thought that I would, and so I think that people, if by you having, there's so many different outlets to push your work. You can get a Facebook page and just do poetry every day. There's different outlets. Even if you never publish, but if you do it the one time, just publish it one time. I have errors in that book. Blind Attraction, I know there are grammatical errors. And I tell my friends and family, I know there are grammatical errors in that book. But for me, I finally can say that I did it. I didn't continue to hold on to a story and just let it sit on a hard drive or sit on a flash drive and never see it, see it to light. Do it. Even if you think it's the most horrible project or piece of work that you've ever done, push it anyway because people love art. Period. You can take paint, splash it on the wall. Somebody's like, I want to buy that. You see what I'm saying? So when you're coming down with these rhymes, and some people want to be rappers, even if you can't be a rapper, rappers are just poets. Poets.
Mhm.
They're basically artists. They're poetry with music. That's what I find rap and songs to be poetry with music. So even if you don't have the music, you still have the words. Push your words. Push your art. I mean, all of it's art. You can sing. You get one page with "the" on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, everybody's like, well, I thought about doing a book, and for me, everyone who's told me that they wanted to publish, do it, do it. You don't wait till someone comes and says, hey, I got a check here for you for $15,000. Don't wait for someone to offer you money for your book, because sometimes it won't happen. You have to do it yourself. You have to, with Kindle publishing, I didn't have to put any money on that. I just put my work up and hope that somebody would buy one or two books. And see, with me having the support from family and friends and friends of family and stuff like that, I've had people, some of my friends actually send me pictures of other people who bought my book. And I don't even know who they are. But they were like, I'm gonna read it. And so I just tell anybody who wants to write, just write. Even if you want to hold back right now, don't. Because I waited till I waited till Corona had me sitting in the house, and I was like, I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna see what it does. I'm gonna see if anybody wants to read it. But yeah, so I mean, I'm on to the next one. So maybe the first time you push it out there or put your work out there, it gives you the incentive or gives you the drive and the determination to push the second. So just keep pushing.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming and having this conversation. I hope there's some inspiration was given and getting and had a good time and
I
have,
enjoyed it.
thank you. So this to break the ice and come on down. We're gonna play a game, and you're the first one to play this game called the Inferno. And also, you are the first guest on the read. Yeah. So also, if you're listening and watching, it's still not too late. If you want to leave some comments and questions for Nikki, just drop them in the comments and we put them on the screen. All right. So the Inferno.
Oh no.
So what we're going to do is you're going to see a series of celebrities going to come up on your screen. If they are hot, you're going to rate them a hot.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, you're going to give them a chop.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I think I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Let's get this multitask. Make sure we get the graphs and pictures together. Oh, we are loading.
Loading.
I guess this person must be too hot for TV. There we go. We have Austin Mahone, singer Austin Mahone.
No, Chop. I don't. He looked too young. Yeah. No. That's like a Jacob thing again. No. He's a cutie. I'm not gonna lie. He's cute. But he's like somebody I introduced to my daughter.
Oh, yeah. There you go. You want to be my son-in-law?
Yeah. Yeah, no. He could be my son-in-law, but he couldn't be my husband.
Next we have Michael B. Jordan.
again, probably. I mean, if he was my age, then yes, he's hot now. I'm not gonna lie, he's hot. I give him that one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about hot or not now. So yes, he's hot.
Okay, you give him a hot. Here's the next one. Maybe everyone don't know, but someone, you and me and everyone from South Carolina knows.
Oh God, who?
Governor Henry Matt Master.
You know what? Chop him in the like 5 million. No, chop. You know better. You know better than Trey. Chop. Just no.
Good.
Even about his age, no. Oh, hey, Lenny.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, Lenny. Yeah, hey, Lenny. He can get hot. He can get hot.
And last but not least, Mr. Reese Witherspoon, former Mr. Reese Witherspoon, Ryan Phillippe.
I love him. He gets a hot. I give him a hot.
Right.
I may have to take back the first one. He's a hot little dude. He's just not my age. I say it like that.
You don't want a Dateline How to Catch a Predator come to your door. I'm Chris Henson with Dateline How to Catch a Predator. Do you know why I'm here?
Won't have me on that show.
Yeah.
No, ma'am, no sir. I'm good. But that was a good one. That's the Inferno. See? Yeah, boy. Henry McMaster. No.
So, thank you again for coming. And remember to check out darlingnikki.com. Go on Amazon to get your book, Blind Attraction, or you can hit up Nikki for your autograph version of Blind Attraction. Again, thank you so much, Nikki. Stick around backstage while sending people home.
See you later.
Yeah. Again, thank you all for joining the conversation. Make sure you like, subscribe this, and remember, it's always a good time to have the conversation. Take care of yourself and each other.
I think we should talk about it.